Is China preparing for a war in space? Do we have to prepare for an off-planet conflict next? We ask this because of a claim made by a top US Space Force official. General Michelle Guttlin, the Vice Chief of Space Operations, told a conference in Washington that China has been observed conducting coordinated maneuvers with its satellites, describing it as dogfighting in space. To put it simply, he says that Chinese satellites are practicing combat in space. According to him, if this is indeed the case, then China's capability gap with the US has just narrowed. And what does that mean for the future of space dominance? According to General Guttlin, the US Space Force has identified 5 different objects in space maneuvering in and around each other with astonishing synchronicity and control. He said, and I'm quoting him, "That's what we call dogfighting in space. They are practicing tactics, techniques and procedures to conduct on-orbit operations from one satellite to another," unquote. While the top US general did not name the actors involved in these maneuvers, it was later confirmed that the satellites in question were indeed Chinese, specifically 3 Xi'an 240 experimental satellites and 2 Shijian 605A-B experimental space objects. They reportedly carried out a series of proximity operations in lower Earth orbit. In 2024, General Guttlin had said that the Chinese Shijian 605 group, launched in 2021, is meant to detect the space environment and test new technologies. Meanwhile, the Xi'an 24C satellite, launched 2 years later, focused on space science and technology experiments. Now, the next question that comes to mind is, what could be the agenda behind these advanced operations? Remember, a dogfight typically involves fighter jets engaged in tight aerial combat, executing intricate maneuvers. But in space, which is a vacuum, movement means something radically different. The absence of atmosphere and friction means that spacecraft must expel mass to create thrust to make swift movements. And to achieve such a capability is incredibly costly and challenging. And so, if China has been able to achieve this, it would be a big feat. This is also the first time that multiple Chinese satellites have reportedly been observed carrying out synchronized movements. Yes, China has carried out many rendezvous proximity operations, where spacecraft move closer to each other and interact in space. There have also been reports of Chinese satellites approaching and also stalking American space assets. It begs the question, have we underestimated China's ambition in space? What is really happening behind these seemingly harmless activities? It's hard to know at this point of time. What is certain is that, according to US Space Force, China and Russia are rapidly closing the gap and endangering US space superiority. General Guttlin referred an example from 2019 when a Russian satellite released a smaller spacecraft to allegedly spy on an American probe. He further enlisted other growing threats to US space platforms, including satellites equipped with robotic arms capable of capturing or holding another satellite hostage. Well, these abilities that Chinese vehicles have demonstrated on multiple occasions. If these claims are indeed true, how long until we face direct confrontation in the stars? In the age of space as a frontier for exploration transforming into one of tactical warfare, we don't have the answers to these questions right now. What we do know is that the stakes have never been higher.